Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dragon Cave. My name is David. And the craziness that's been going on. I haven't posted in a few days, in a while, and boy, hasn't it been a fun little adventure. I wouldn't say that any one thing has jumped out at me that I would want to talk about, because it seems like everything it's leaping all at once. The Twitter fiascos, the World Cup, the Olympics, or what's going on in Qatar right now. This stuff is crazy. Oh goodness. But what's going to be interesting, I think, with any of these kinds of things is whether or not the people who made obscene amounts of money on any of these things is going to face any consequences for their actions. So with, like, Twitter, for example, Musk is probably not going to face any consequences, even if Twitter crash burns and does absolutely nothing. Oh no, he lost $50 billion of his $180 billion. However will he sleep at night? He doesn't give a crap. It's FU money to the ninth degree, and he's not going to suffer any consequences. But there's a lot of people that work for Twitter that are now without jobs. Many of them in places where that was going to be, like they just moved, they just got ready to start working or something at a new location or what have you. There were stories about people who were on temporary visas who now have to go back home suddenly because they just don't have a job and their visa was tied to that. And so that's heartbreaking. I'm confident, though, that if they were skilled enough to work at Twitter, they should land on their feet, or at least be able to find some way to get back to normal. Maybe not everybody will. That's sad. That's tragic. But watching that whole thing go, and it's this thing where it's like you almost want to agree with Musk in principle, what his vision seemed like it was. Like he wanted to make Twitter this public square. He wanted to make it so that free speech in such a way as we have it today was, I don't know, less curated and moderated towards one particular opinion or what have you. There is a fundamental problem with that, in that people will self-regulate to a degree on platforms like this. It's not a mistake that places like Parler had to exist in lieu of Twitter. This is how our tribalism works. And the way that we try to engage with people nowadays seems to not be, because, like, okay, if you had a disagreement and you were just an average Joe in one area or whatever, stuff like that, you went with whoever was in your proximity. You didn't go to the extreme. In logical fallacies and whatnot, this is known as a straw man. But nowadays, you don't have to invent a straw man. Search online, and you will find a straw man that you can actually literally point to and be like, yeah, this is the left, or this is the right, or this is the opposition, or what have you. See how crazy they are. You don't have to invent it anymore. You just have to go and search for it. This is new. This is why it was like the internet is like giving a teenager the keys to the Lamborghini. I don't think our species was mature enough to have unfettered contact to everyone everywhere at all times. And the drunken joyride that we've been on for the last 10 or 15, 20 years of internet's growth and intrusion into our lives has really shown that we need to have we need to have more division. See, that's the thing. Like, Twitter wants to be the public square for everybody. But why, when in all of human history has the opinion of somebody who lived on the East Coast mattered to somebody who lived on the Northwest Coast, right? Like the people who live on the Southeast Coast, pick your continent, doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is that, we go and we try and figure out things in our communities and our lives and all this stuff like that in that local filter kind of way. And this seems like a bad idea. Libraries do this all the time. They will, hey, come on, focus. They will curate books in their libraries for their audience. You think, why? For libraries, it was a profit thing. People weren't going to check out books if they weren't interested in reading them. And they're not going to be interested in reading stuff that doesn't conform to their biases. So, yeah, they didn't, the thumping heart of the Bible Belt didn't stock their bookshelves with Muslim and Quran-inspired literature. It wasn't going to make them any money. So you had this local filter thing, and it catered to our natural tendency to want to stick to our in-group, to our tribe, and our kin altruistic kind of, I'm supporting those that were around me. And when we didn't have global communication, this was fine. But now we do, and it's one of these things with that kind of kin altruism and that in-group altruism and tribalism and stuff like that. You can't turn it off. You can't ignore it. And it's going to be there in everyone, whether you like it or not. It's not an optional thing. And this is really where the conflict comes into it, because, even if you just look at the language that they use, all those coastal elites or whatnot, all those flyover state hicks and whatnot, it's geographic almost as much as it is demographic. So I'm not sure if Twitter really is the answer to that. If not, breaking up Twitter, kind of like this is where Reddit comes into better, because there's the Georgia Reddit, but then there's the Atlanta Reddit, or the Augusta Reddit, or Valdosta. There's even subreddits for specific teams, subreddits for specific you divide the community up, and those who don't care about it don't engage with it, and thus their opinions don't pollute or infect or maybe enhance. I don't want to seem like going one way, but their opinions don't affect them. So you go to, it's like going to a council meeting at a building. You show up to an out of building. They're your neighbors. These are people that live in the community that you live in. And these are the representatives that you guys elected and whatnot, or their staff. And they're here to hear, should we redistrict the speed in this particular the street area? Do we need to put in a stop sign there? Should we hire another dog catcher? Or all these other kinds of things that you don't need the opinion of people 2 states over to deal with the things that are going on in that. And we've never needed that for anything in our lives. We like to think that humanity is this big, tribe of man spanning across all of the globe of stuff ever since, the first deep blue water ships sailed across ye old ocean and whatnot. But we've never, even unto this day, we form tribes and we form communities. And Twitter is trying to shake that up. And the thing is that it might be a very good thing. Maybe wider. Well, let's see. It undoubtedly is a good thing to have exposure. I've driven trucks cross country and to Canada, and have come into intimate contact with every culture that America has ever had, and it's just about every culture you can imagine. I've met truckers from other countries. I've met people who just everywhere from every place. And without exception, that exposure does not provide. You can't have a narrow mind with that kind of exposure when you see these people and you understand the struggles that they're going through and see how little you know of it. You kind of be self-aware enough to do that, but that exposure facilitates that, and Twitter potentially could facilitate that. I think that the biggest problem with that is that the algorithms don't drive engagement through self-improvement and finding a better argument or asking better questions. It drives engagement through outrage. It appeals to our worst natures. And so in that, right, I think that maybe an idea like Twitter could work if it was curated for our better natures. But as it stands right now, I don't see it that way. Right now, it's pretty terrible. How it divides people. I mean, I read the Mueller report. Well, I listened to the audiobook of the Mueller report that was released like less than 12 hours after the Mueller report was released. They had it on Audible for free, which was amazing. But if I hear that guy say quote one more time, because I swear to God, the word quote is in that book more than a period is. One of the things you see, they organized on social media. Russians organized on social media extreme left-wing groups and extreme right-wing groups to have rallies at the same day at the same address. Like, this is what social media has done. It's weaponized our angers and our biases and our prejudices against us. So if there was an algorithmic way to do the opposite of that, I think that would be great, but I don't think Twitter's going for that way. Engagement drives their profits. So I don't know. Maybe Twitter needs to be broken up regionally or whatever, to where you can be like, well, it kind of is. I mean, there's people who are an English language. You don't, unless you go out of your way as an English speaking person, you're not going to just stumble upon the German or French Twitter. And I assume vice versa, but I wouldn't even know how to do that. But there is that kind of thing. But I think that it would need to go even further. Have maybe just an umbrella Twitter for everybody, but then you could subscribe to a Twitter that's more in your region. The problem with that is, if you remember the Daily Me we were talking about before, the more you can curate the kind of engagement that your media diet, right? The more your media diet can be curtailed to your own biases, the less exposure to dissenting opinions that you can get. So, I mean, maybe curate it to a degree, but maybe not. This is one of those things where it's like, I still feel that with social media in general, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or anything like that, smarter people than me are going to have to figure this stuff out. My opinion is kind of all over the place insofar as I can sort of see both sides of it. I can see the utility and the good. I can definitely see the bad. And I don't see a way for us to clearly get to one or the other without somebody going in and just forcing it to happen. And we all thought that Musk might be able to do that, but then he just sort of seems incompetent at it. maybe he won't. Maybe all of these firings and stuff is what it needs, out with the old, in with the new, and start over, and we'll go from there kind of thing. My social media diet, I mean, I'm a Reddit. I love Reddit. And YouTube. Reddit and YouTube are about as far as I go. I never did much with Twitter. Like, I followed a couple of people on Twitter just to know when they would upload videos on Reddit, or upload videos on YouTube, I mean. Because YouTube notifications are notoriously bad. But yeah, this is a very complicated subject as it goes, and I think that a wise course for that, as far as what we can do right now, wait and see and gather more data. It's not. We shouldn't go to any one stream or the other. Like, cut yourself off. Well, they do say, like I said before, there isn't a study. I haven't found a study out there that talks about how your mental health will improve the more you spend on Facebook or Twitter. Every one of them's like, the less you spend on Facebook and Twitter, the happier you'll be. But I think, again, that comes from people not really using Facebook and Twitter like it's supposed to be. If you just doom scroll through Facebook all day long, you're just asking to be depressed. That's again, outrage and drives engagement and what have you. And I don't think that's the fault of the user. And I kind of don't think, I mean, it is the fault of the programmers and those, they know that they're doing that. But it was one of those things where, profit or die, or, you've got to do something, or somebody's going to come along and do it better, and you're not going to go. So they had to find some way to drive that engagement, to get the money, to keep the thing going. And, it's complicated, but I think we should, with all of these, that's another thing. All these developers just got fired from Twitter and Facebook because Facebook did a big cleaning out. All these web developers, people with lots of experience in social media, just got fired. Why don't a bunch of them get together and make a new social media platform whose algorithms drive positive engagement? And, right? Like, our better angels could come and rescue us, I think that might be, because I think if they had that kind of pressure, then other places like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube comment sections might very well be pressured to do better in their curation. We can't have wild west of 4chan on every website where just the trolls and the spam bots rule everything. But I also don't think that we can have cloistered, academic only, credential only types of engagement, because there's a lot of just average normal people out there that may not need to engage with it, but definitely should be able to, right? So yeah, what a mess. As for the stuff that's going on in Qatar, fuck FIFA. And Qatar and all of that, no. That what they're doing, no, that's, I don't even know if I want to go any further in that than to say that particular headline grabbed my attention only because it's kind of pissing everybody off, and all I can say is good. Get rid of it. Like, this is it's beyond toxic. The just the waste and destruction of human life that happened in that. Anyway, I have been having so much fun playing on my Drekthir. I am an unabashed dragon lover. I love dragons, and I've been playing on that. So if you didn't know, I have another channel. It's BG Drake, where I've been doing a playthrough, and I'm on the fence about whether or not I'll play. I'll put up videos of my Drekthir playthrough, but yeah, I've been playing through that one. So if you want to see some fun stuff I do, I'll put that over there. I do the more serious stuff on this channel. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.